Hello, my name is Graham, and I'm here to talk about how our brains cope with and interpret vague or missing sensory inputs. There is an unfathomably complex and enormous concerto of cortical activity that combine to form our daily perceptions, and these are almost always taken for granted. Our brains are designed to generate a picture of the world as a complete whole, with seemingly no discontinuity. When sensory inputs are expected but missing, or otherwise not able to be properly processed, the brain is simply not content to let these gaps slide. Most people will not consider it a grand revelation that they cannot see what is behind them, but they may be surprised to find out that they can't always see everything that's in front of them. Scotomas are a spot in the visual field in which vision is absent or deficient. Everybody has a natural scotoma present in each eye. This was predicted by Edme Mariotte when she observed that the optic disc, where the optic nerve enters the retina, was not sensitive to light. This non-photoreceptive part of our retina takes up about 4 degrees of vision in each eye. You can see this gap represented in this graph on the right as an area devoid of both rods and cones. Despite the gap, we don't see one in our visual field, even with one eye closed. We see a complete and whole image even though our optic nerve isn't receiving one. If you fixate your left eye on the black X in the illustration on the left, with your right eye closed and at a certain critical distance, you'll notice that the black circle disappears. This is because you've overlapped it with your visual field scotoma. While it is interesting that a scotoma can make an object disappear, the brain can fill in the missing information by making an educated guess regarding what should be there. The image here has a line that is made discontinuous by a large black circle in the middle. If you again line this circle up with your natural scotoma, you'll notice that the circle disappears and the line appears complete and continuous. The gaps are produced by natural scotoma are fairly small, but larger ones can result from physical injuries, seizures, and even migraines. Many people think that migraine is just a synonym for a bad headache. While it's true that headache is the most common symptom of migraine, it is not the migraine itself. In reality, the migraine is a neurological disorder that can manifest a wide variety of symptoms, including a potentially alarming visual disturbance called scintillating scotoma. The picture here is an artist's depiction of such a scotoma. This happened to me once when I was working. A small patch of blurry vision suddenly appeared and it was wrapped in a very tiny ring of static-like oscillations of intense black and white lines in a zigzag pattern. The line grew and grew until it encompassed a good portion of my right field of view. I was very scared as I thought I was having a stroke. These lines were incredibly vivid. They actually appeared more real than any other black or white color I had seen before. These lines went away after about 30 minutes, but their impression stuck with me. The phenomenon isn't 100% understood, but neurologists have found that migraine aura is accompanied by cortical spreading depression. This is a wave of neurons that become suppressed and unable to fire properly for a time. Before this depolarization, there is a pronounced increase to cerebral blood flow in these areas, which may be indicative of a sudden spike in activity. As this wave propagated along my occipital cortex, I saw the halo grow and then vanish once the potentials normalized. Although there is much more interesting and bizarre visual reflections of aberrant brain activity, such as Charles Bonnet syndrome, I chose to speak about migraines as they're fairly common. Although only a small portion of migraineurs experience scintillating scotoma, they're still not that uncommon. I hope at least some of the people who stumble on this video will be able to relate in experiencing this strange phenomenon. Thank you so much for listening.